the NBA has announced they will be taking 25% of each player's salary for the remainder of the year. Dylan, I'll start with you. You're shaking your head. You're agreeing with this. That's pretty greedy.
No, I'm not necessarily agreeing with it. I think it's
You're just agreeing with it
yeah,
because you're
I
greedy.
think it's the best move. I mean, the players aren't playing those games anyway. It should go to the NBA so we can go better benefit. What I'm more concerned about is what CJ McCollum posted about 2 weeks ago. He said that a good bit of NBA players, he said well over 100 NBA players live paycheck to paycheck. So that's actually surprising to me. And of course, it kind of happens like when you have all that kind of money and you spend all that money, and the players that even don't make a lot of money on their contracts, like those lower tier level players on these teams, they spend all this money and they live paycheck to paycheck. That's going to affect them because all that money gets taken out. So now they definitely don't have any money.
All right. I just looked this up. Who is living paycheck to paycheck making $582,000 a year? That's the minimum contract in the NBA. That's just being irresponsible. And I know it's easy for me to say that, but no, that's not an excuse that you can, because there are Americans who are living paycheck to paycheck,
Yeah.
especially during this. And to use that argument is unfair. It's not as unfair in the NFL where contracts are non guaranteed. These contracts are.
I think it's just the irresponsibility of money. Like
That's
I believe
that's
that
a
it
terrible
happens.
excuse.
I believe that it happens, but I just
But no. That's not living paycheck to paycheck. That's being an idiot.
yeah. But that's
All
when
right.
that's what it's going to affect.
Jermaine, do you agree with this decision? Do you think it's fair to players?
I don't think it's fair to players because most of them have families and like hopefully most of them don't just like blow their paychecks. But I mean it's I understand the decision by the NBA. I mean like you aren't playing, so you aren't really bringing in the money. So I agree with what they're doing, but like it sucks for like guys who like have like families and children and stuff like that. But like the paycheck to paycheck thing is like you said, it's pretty irresponsible if you're making that type of money and just blowing it like on chains and houses and cars and stuff like that.
And I really do want to clarify what I'm saying because none of us know anyone in the NBA. I just Googled that. I don't know how accurate that is. The 582,000. I don't know if that's spread out over a certain amount of time. I really don't know. But that just doesn't. And it's so easy to say that it doesn't sound right, but it just doesn't. Um, Richie, would you like to see the NBA put that money elsewhere? I mean, do you think that they are in a position? I think it's kind of a wake up call. The NBA has to do this so they get some money back.
Uh, okay, I'm split because yes, it does help the NBA, and I would like to see them put some of this money towards what's going on in the country and the world right now and put it towards more medical professionals getting more materials in, like when the Patriots flew their private jet out to go get masks from China. I would like to see a little bit of that, but at the same time I think it's a disingenuous move because it's not the players' fault that they're not playing on the rest of this year. And while the NBA may have the right to do this, it's not necessarily the right thing. I mean, if you think about it, just in the regular world, many of these businesses who have had to shut down, they're still finding a way to pay their employees so their employees at least have something so they're not stuck in worrying about what's going to happen. I think that would have been, you know, something that they would have thought about, not just,
Now,
and yes, I know obviously they make a lot more money than the average American, but I just think it's a poor public relations move by the NBA personally.
so if they could have kept this under wraps, would it have worked out better?
No, because we know that would have came out, and then there would have been a lot more animosity towards them. I I just don't think they should have done it in the first place. I get why they did it, and yes, it helps them, but I still don't think it's the right moral decision to make.
now anyone can answer this. Do you think there's going to be any blowback from players saying, they're not treating us correctly? Because we've seen it in many sports leagues where players feel that they are some form of slavery almost due to, from the owners, not so much the NBA as opposed to the NFL with the way that the NFL's contracts are so terribly structured. But do you think there's going to be any blowback from NBA players towards the NBA and saying, why are you doing this?
Well, I think a large part has to do with where that money's going to, where that money from their contracts is going to be going to. Obviously, if it's going to charities and it's going to donations and things like that, then obviously the players need to have an understanding that this is obviously more than basketball. This is more than sports. This is something that's larger than life kind of thing, and they all have to understand that. And a lot of players have reached out to their charities of choice and their places and have helped. And I think if it's known that that's where their money is going to and not just getting put somewhere and just getting taken away from the players in general, then I think players have a better understanding and are more there's not going to be a lot of backlash for that.
Now, do you think that because we're coming up on free agency, even if we don't get a season, do you think players are going to start adding clauses in their contract saying, if this happens, if we go through a pandemic, I want this cut? I don't even know if they can do that. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer or an agent. But do you think we're going to start seeing players do things like that and putting clauses like that, like those into contracts?
Are you talking in terms of like guaranteed money, like that they get?
Guaranteed money, yes, that you cannot touch. This is my money.
Yeah, I think a lot of players are going to do that, especially like like big name players are going to do that. I mean, I thought it would be something that they would have been incorporated. They would have taken from sports like baseball and football, but I guess not. But I can definitely see that from like especially players who have like a little leverage. I can see them doing that in free agency.
Look, and we're all idiots. We don't know anything about this. That may have already happened. We don't